Our movie is a mockumentary about a group of upstart kind of paranormal investigators who kind of find their way as they go, and it's metaphoric for our own journey as filmmakers, because that's what everyone goes through. Like, you know, it starts with a failed Kickstarter campaign, which is something we endured at one point with a different movie. But we learned from that, and then we just made fun of it and had fun with it. So
it's a group of everyday people starting their own business, you know, following your dreams type thing. It kind of fits our style, like of comedy and a little bit of improv. We stick to the script a lot, but our group of people kind of improv a little bit, but we're all used to each other, so it's, I don't know, it just fits us.
Okay. Yeah. Part of the inspiration was, again, like Steven said, trying to find a way that we can make a movie on a low budget without having to have a whole lot of lights and a big crew, but we did have a big cast, so yeah.
Did you see Life Aquatic?
Yes.
It's basically that. You have your, like, the shitty group, and then you have the group with all the money. And that's just, we just really like, I really love that movie, and that was just kind of the inspiration for that. Which is like, you have the ragtag group that has nothing, and you have the group that they don't really get along, they're not really friends, but they have all the money. And so you kind of immediately side with Team Proof. Honestly, part of it is like, they're all just our friends, like within the filmmaking, acting community, and it just, well, this person would be great for this, just ask them, see if they're available, and sometimes you gotta ask them a couple times because they'll forget.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're all just friends. There's really, I think maybe Aaron is the only person who wasn't an immediate friend. Plays Philip. I have just seen him in an audition at some point, and I got his contact information. I said, hey, I think you'd be great for this part. But he's really kind of the only person, like, outside of our immediate group of friends that we tried to contact. Everyone else we just kind of knew already. So
yeah, part of it was we had built up this community from doing like the film races, like 24 and 48 hour. So every time we would be like, hey, I really liked working with that person. So when we were writing, we kind of were like, hey, let's bring this person in for this role. Let's bring this person in for this role. And then before we knew it, we had a huge cast. And
like some characters, like immediately when we were coming up with Hudson, back in middle school, Atkins and I did, you know, you kind of mess around with your friends, you come up with little characters. It's like, he'll do that exactly the way we want. Just write it for him. He did it perfectly. How long did it take to shoot? I don't remember how long.
We wrote the script specific to have the main location for about 50 to 60 pages. Because, again, we were on low budget, so that particular location we wrapped in roughly 2.5 weeks. So all the other stuff was a little bit longer because we started that in December of 2015. And we've wrapped the film in, 2014.
Sure, we didn't start it like at the end of November?
Yeah, somewhere early,
right,
December 1st.
It was very cold.
Very cold. But then we wrapped that location, and then we had like random weekends to finish locations. So it ended up not getting completed till spring, and that's when we did all of our talking heads. So we did all of our talking heads as a wrap up, which let us do some more storytelling, because we were like, hey, just grab this line so we can insert it into this scene. And yeah, we shot a lot of talking heads. In total, it probably, if everything was maybe a 4 weeks, dragged out over 4 or 5 months.
Maybe 4 weeks.
Our original schedule was like 16 days, and I think it ended up being like total 20-ish, somewhere in there, hard to say. We had a rough cut done that summer, but then we had a big problem when we ended up losing our post-production supervisor. He actually died. And then we had to actually do a fundraising campaign to get completion funds. And then we were able to bring in Matt Burge, who was awesome. He did all the visual effects, and he really kind of tied the bow tie together on the film. So, but, there was a couple months spans where
didn't even feel like
couldn't even work on it because Ryan had been working with us for like 10 years. So it was a big loss to us just personally.
Yeah, it wasn't just losing a working relationship. It was losing like a good friend, a good person. So it was like, I don't even feel like finishing this movie. You know what I mean? It was like, what are we doing? What's the point? But then we tried to think about it. It was like, well, he really liked it, and he'd probably be disappointed if we just didn't finish. So that was kind of the force behind that.
Literally the day we submitted your deadline day, we finished it that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite a miracle, and we were very happy we got in. It was,
I feel like it's an idea that like a lot of people want to do, and I feel like the thing that makes ours different is it's literally like in the movie. Like we don't have a lot of money, but what we do have is all these really great characters, and that's what's more important than just having like a really great special effect. It would have been nice to have a great special effect, but the relationships between all the characters, I think, is way more important, and it carries the film through a lot more than like a really great Bigfoot costume.
Well, that's kind of metaphoric for the film itself, because that's us behind the scenes. You know, just like Murray, it's like Jeff Grants, and myself pushing the film, building this crew, and then it's like somehow it was just lined up very much so with how we made the movie.
I just like how he plays it. Like he's just always he's like Kermit.
Yeah.
Just never has anything bad to say to anybody. He's just always positive. Like if you throw mud in his face, he'll just go, whew, well, no rocks.
Yeah, that was literally one of the few directions I ever gave Craig Zeiss, was when we shot our pilot for this like several years ago. Like when I was talking to him about the character, I said pretty much that. Someone throws dirt in your face, you go, oh, there wasn't rocks. And he was like, I got this character. I can do this. And
yeah, we've had the idea for like this group, this story for like 10 years.
2007, we started writing, coming up with characters. It was a lot different then, but you know, over the years we've added characters as we met people. Like, wow, let's get them in there, you know. Yeah, we got kicked off a location, but it was not malicious. Like, so there was supposed to be a scene where the wolf character actually gets introduced fully. So the idea was that the three, Ira, Murray, and Megan, were walking down the street, and he literally runs into them. So we had to shoot in front of a restaurant, and we got to the restaurant. We're unpacking our gear. We did a quick walkthrough. I walked them through, and Grants was talking with the owner of the establishment, who, you know, our executive producer had set this up. And then the guy asked Grants, what's the movie about? And Grants goes, oh, it's a comedy about paranormal investigators. And the guy, like, within his culture, he was very scared, because he was like, oh, it's about ghosts? I don't want ghosts here.
Yeah.
So then we were like
reel it back in and be like, it's not that kind of.
And we were trying to be like, well, you know, there's no ghosts in this scene, but the idea that his establishment was even being associated with anything to do with the paranormal, he thought it would bring the paranormal there. So, you know, we were very respectful. We were like, okay, hey, that's okay. And the next day he supplied Crafty for us, so it was no harm, no foul. We were like, okay, we'll take a free meal for the cast and crew.
That's where the fish hoagie joke came from.
Yeah, it's literally the hoagie is from that guy. So, but then we ended up, you know, using the talking heads. We were able to kind of fix that scene, because that scene kept getting pushed back in production because we couldn't find a restaurant to shoot in front of. So it just became this problem, and it was like we were on schedule with everything except that scene. But then again, in the talking heads, we were able to kind of flow it into the script and work it out.
And sometimes I think if something goes wrong like that, it kind of forces you to like maybe come up with like a better joke than him just like coming out of his thing. Like he was in a job interview and he was getting kicked out. I was like, yeah, that's funny, but like I feel like him following me home after like I give him $1 is like a little bit funnier. So I like other little things that Atkins like. So like he shows up to set the first day to shoot, and he's notorious for like sleeping and napping. So he was like, hey, can Hudson just kind of like be asleep? And I was like, no, you can't just be asleep, damn it. So that's the guy he is, always looking for a nap.
He's a great guy on set, though. You know, like, just very jovial and, you know, good morale booster to have around. But everyone, we had a great cast and crew. Again, a lot of improvers, so even when the camera wasn't rolling, they were all cutting up. And it kind of made it hard to know when to say cut because these guys could just keep going.
Yeah.
The rough cut of the film was an hour 45, and I could have added more, so... But it was good for us in editing because then we could up the pace. All right, we'll cut this. As funny as this is, we'll cut this out. Because I know there was one really funny scene with Atkins and Steven, the phone scene where where he answers the phone for that first investigation. He forgets the number. There was a follow-up where Hudson walks up to him and he's like, "You had one effing job." And it was hilarious, but it just killed the pacing on the movie. So I hated cutting
like little things like that where it's like it's really funny, but it's like it makes Hudson kind of mean. We don't want him to be. You know what I mean? Like little things that, like, we don't want him being mean to Murray. We don't want Murray to.
Right.
It's got to be.
Which was
like,
just,
it's funny
improv.
It's like, fuck you. But then it's like, that's not, you know.
We got a couple scripts that we've been in various stages of development. For the most part, we're looking to lean towards horror comedy next. As we kind of, you know, Team Proof's a little, it mixes genres. It's closer to sci-fi, but it's more documentary, mockumentary. Comedy is definitely the main focus of Team Proof. So I think the next one we're going to be, we got at least two. Both are kind of creature feature comedies. So that's where we're looking. It'll be ultimately who wants to invest in us because we want to take that next.
I would love to turn Team Proof into a show.
That's our real goal, is pitching this now. It's kind of as a super pilot. And so we have movies we're working on, and Team Proof is a show we're working on.
We've got like seasons planned.
Yeah, we actually wrote a whole season out.